So, welcome. I am Eva Clark from Healing Multiple Sclerosis. And today we're talking about Louise Hayes and her description of multiple sclerosis. If you go online, you can find this description for MS, which we're going to dive into in a moment. But the goal of this interview here with Candance, welcome Candance, will be to take it much further than just reading this list, right? Because here at Healing Multiple Sclerosis, we're not just about understanding or reading something and getting information. We're about also linking it to your life and to your symptoms, and especially giving you tools and ways that you can use this information and go so much further to create lasting change in your life. So Candance Burkhart here is a master ENLP practitioner. She's a trauma conscious coach, and she focuses on the deep-seated cause of chronic pain and stress. So she draws from her own recovery from burnout. She's used this evolved NLP. She's used German New Medicine, which we've also talked about here at Healing Multiple Sclerosis, and somatic inquiry to help high achieving women break free from overwhelming pain and reconnect with themselves. If you're tired of that standard ineffective treatments and ready for meaningful change, and that's what we do here, Candance offers direct and empathetic paths to understanding your pain and reclaiming your vitality, your health, your life, and your rules. So, Candance, welcome. And we're just going to jump straight in. How does Louise Hayes see MS? And
Hey,
how would you interpret that?
so Louise interprets MS as rigidity and the need to be in control. Um, so and this will stem from like going through her book and just like some of her podcasts and things like that. It's a mental pattern. Like everything that Louise talks about, it's all about your past experiences and how you are dealing with them. And so kind of weaving that in. So any of the emotional patterns, any of the mental past experiences, things like that, if they're not dealt with in a healthy way, well, what ends up happening is they reside in our body. So, and then once your body is doing is it is constantly giving you those messages to be like, hey, like look at me, look at me. It's like your check engine light on your car. So when uh, one of the terms that I will always say is if your check engine light does come up on your car, you're not going to put like duct tape or electrical tape over top of it. No, you're going to actually go and take it to the mechanic and just say, look, what's going on here? But what I do find with a lot of people are they're not actually listening to their body. They'll have the pain and I do apologize. I'm going to kind of just kind of do a little bit more of a broader um, description of this. But a lot of people, what ends up happening in the very beginning is they will start feeling those tension, whether it's tension headaches or, like back pain or neck pain, or maybe it's like your stomach issues or whatever it is. And so, like with Louise, it will start there. So you will get that subtle nudge hint and that stomach ache. Well, that could be, well, just something that you're not digesting. And what ends up happening is it is just going to continue getting louder and louder and louder. But it may not just be the stomach. So the stomach pain may not just get louder and louder or worse and worse. What ends up happening is your body is going to be like, no, she's not listening, or he's not listening to the stomach. Okay. So we're going to have to try something different. So it's like your car. Okay. So your check engine light comes on. Maybe it's just the simple aspect that you have an O2 sensor that is gone. And all you had to do at that moment was replace that sensor. but you chose not to do that. So what ends up happening? There is one more thing that is going to go wrong. Say it's like with your exhaust or whatever it is. So I'm going to come back again and be like, okay, so that's what's happening with our body. So now if we go with Louise and we talk about, okay, so we have that rigidity and we have that loss of control or that feeling like we have to be in control. So one of the things is coming back to asking some questions, like some self-reflection questions, kind of like what are the so, what are some of your dominant or some of your most active emotions that you feel daily? And how might they be influencing like your physical health, your personal health? Okay. And then you can kind of come around and look in what areas of your life do you feel the most resistance or rigidity? Or how does this manifest in my body? So, for example, where let's say you are a business owner, okay, and you start feeling maybe some hip pain, okay, and maybe it starts happening where it's Q4 and you're putting all of these demands on yourself, but you just feel like you have to control the narrative all the time. Um, Now I want to kind of come back to like the MS aspect of it and be like, so where do you feel you need to be in control of your outcomes or other people's lives? Now, this can again stem from your past experiences where, like, were you put into control of things when you were younger? Um,
That definitely comes into the MS personality and the need to be a, parentified child, right? The need to be an adult at such a young age or take care of your mom's emotions or take care of your siblings because you're almost like a mommy at 5 kind of thing. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
What I find so fascinating with Louise's work is the aspect of she was kind of like the pioneer where, she knew all of this already. And if you and like so her book, this she wrote this book, You Can Heal Your Life when she was 50 years old. And going through that book, you really kind of look and see where what she has endured and or what she did pass already, what she had endured throughout her whole lifetime. Um, and just having it put into kind of different perspective. But kind of coming back to like that control aspect, you know, seeing what is your body kind of trying to tell you when you feel the need to be in that control. So really tapping into that and being like, okay, how is my body reacting to this? Um, and then kind of one of those things like the identifying any life events that might have triggered your symptoms. So with your stressors, where you came back and we're talking about like being in the childhood and having to take on like the mother's role, things like that. So was it that, or was it something different?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, another like trait, for example, with MS is even though from the outside it seems rigid and controlling, they're actually extremely sensitive, right? They're usually the most sensitive child, very creative, and thus then that rigidity that looks like rigidity from the outside is actually a protection of the its opposite.
right, right. So a question that I actually have with you for the MS, and as far as I understand, is there's that it's that freeze response. Am I correct on that?
Yes, there's two main things. There's the freeze response, which is caused by a double bind. It's like, I want to please you. I should be doing this. This is what the rules say. And I really don't want to do this. I really hate this. My body's saying no, right? So that's one piece, overriding your own needs. And the second is usually a relationship. Or there's always that, well, what do they think about this? Or having, a sense that other people expect all these things from you, right? Thinking that, oh my gosh, they're going to expect this from me. They're going to expect that from me. I have to have this done. If I don't do that, they're going to be disappointed. I'm going to hurt them, right? So there's a lot of this outer reference rather than inner reference.
Right. So then, if you look at the way Louise kind of talks about or, references MS, the rigid, where, like, what do I do here? Do I please somebody? Do I not please somebody? It's kind of like being stuck, and the same thing with the control. So again, like she was definitely um before her time, but definitely um so anyway, so there are several questions that, like, several self-reflection questions that you can actually ask yourself, and just being like, to be able to identify the events that are actually causing those triggers. And kind of like going back to the book, You Can Heal Your Life. As much as I love Louise, and I think she is absolutely amazing, utilizing her work can be very triggering for some people. And I can speak from personal experience. Like her book, it was the very first book that I picked up on my own healing journey. It was recommended to me. And what I love about Louise is she's like that grandma, your grandma that you can sit and have tea with. And because, and what I find now in our society, specifically even now, like there is just so much noise out there and so many opinions. There is so many opinions out there where people are saying, do this, do that, my way is the only way to go, and things like that. And like with Louise's book, with her work, it's kind of like going and sitting and talking to your grandma and having tea with her and just saying, I just need some guidance. And I love her. You can go on many, like you can type in YouTube and just be like Louise Hay, and she can bring up so many different affirmation videos and things like that. And don't get me wrong, I 100% believe in affirmations. And
And as an NLP practitioner, like myself,
And yes, and affirmations are not going to work unless you have dealt with that inner, the inner layers, because all the affirmations are going to do is just make you even more frustrated, and they're just going to add more frustration, anger, rage, because and the think you're not doing something right. Well,
yeah, why is it not working for me? I'm doing it, I'm doing my affirmations, but if you have a limiting belief underneath that not enough, and you're like, I'm enough, I'm good, I'm joy, or if you have, like with MS, there's a limiting belief that, if I'm not doing something, if I'm not pushing when I'm stuck, I'm being lazy. Right. And so this, the affirmation of you are joyous and loving and just, free, it's like, no, 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 no. That would be being lazy, to not do anything when you're stuck, to say, well, you know what, fuck it. And that's one of our campaigns. It'd be like, what? No, I have to do something. I have to, control this.
well, and that's exactly it. Like again, I believe in affirmations. I do feel that they are extremely powerful to reframe the negative. Now, again, saying, like you were saying, I am joyous, I'm enough, I can move freely, all of these kinds of things, in the back of your mind, it's more than likely going, are you fucking kidding me? Really? No.
No, that's not safe. That's not okay. What will other people think? They're gonna judge me. I'm judging myself,
Yeah.
creating
So,
internal conflict.
oh, right. So basically, with the affirmation aspect, it is more of a my recommendation for that is to don't sit there and say my life is perfect. Okay. So don't start with that. So it's something like reframing to, okay, I am learning to accept what is beyond my control.
Hmm.
In my own journey, I've picked that book up and I will pick that book up at least once a year and I will read through it. And what is nice about her book, and again, I know that we want to go beyond just the reading, um, yet I do feel it is kind of a disclaimer that should be added to Louise's work because there has been many times I have talked to somebody and it's like I'll say, have you ever read the book? Like, You Can Heal Your Life. And they're like, oh, yeah, I've read it, but, I put it down. Or, I got to this one point here and I just set it down and I never came back to it. And for myself, that happened a lot of times where I can safely say I picked that book up, started reading it, and thrown it across the room because it has triggered something within. And then that's where you sit there and journal or take it out or sit with yourself and be like, why? Why is this? Why is this triggering me? What is happening? Um, I find like again, you can read as many books as you want. However, it is the taking that next step. So, great. A lot of books, podcasts, like all these little mini free things that you get, they're going to give you the awareness. You're more than likely going to get the awareness that this is what's happening. Well, now it's what is the next step? What are you going to do? Because awareness is that's it.
Hmm.
Like more than just awareness. So one of the exercises that, and I will utilize this in my own practice, is on page 15, but that's on this one. It's page 15, and it's the exercise I should. And these are one of these ones where sitting down and being like, I should. So write down every last thing that that you think you should be doing.
Oh, that'll be a long list for many. That should word. I remember in NLP we learned, careful the words, right? The words have a lot of history, and should is a big, heavy, freezing word.
Yeah, yeah, it
Very
definitely.
nice exercise for people with MS. Thanks. Yeah.
There are tons of exercises in here. Another one of my very favorite ones that will be utilized, and the releasing of anger. And I can't remember if it's actually in this book or not, releasing anger. But it is one of those ones that I do, we go through when we do the workshops. Um, and it is putting on anger music. So you can put on one of my favorite playlists is like the most angry music you can put. So like Metallica, like there is some really like angry music. So putting that on, and you can either take a pillow or and scream into it, and just kind of like, I am angry at this. Now, fun fact, and I'm not sure about the MS world.
Oh,
uh,
there's anger because it's like I would like you to change so I don't have to feel that I still have to keep doing this way, right? And so there's a lot pent up because anger and crying, there are a lot of emotions that you're not allowed to express or don't feel that you can express them because they're a weakness, they're out of control. So
Right.
here there's some pent up anger. So
Okay.
yeah.
So one of the so going with the with the anger release exercise, um, what I find is when I start working with people, a lot of them don't think that they're actually angry. So I give them this exercise and they're like, I'm not angry. I don't want to do this. Like what is the purpose of this exercise? And then after doing it a few times, they realize, oh my God, I really was angry. Like there was a lot of anger underneath the surface. So with this exercise, and I highly recommend this, is either one, get a pillow and you can punch it, and the whole point of it is getting a and actually, Eva, what I will do is I will share the link of my anger music
Yeah,
link.
love that. Yes, we'll put that on the post.
Yeah. So take this, and it's one of these things where because again, as you know, like working with NLP, the unconscious mind, we can feel maybe a little resistant to actually doing something like this if there's anybody around.
Hmm.
So I highly recommend finding a spot or, like if nobody's around, kind of pick a time and put on this playlist. Take a pillow, you can punch it, you can scream in it, you can do whatever you want to do. The other alternative is getting a plastic bat, picking it up from you guys in the States have Dollar Tree. I'm pretty sure you can find like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
there, something really cheap and just like with that music, just hitting it, like just, like being able to be like, I'm angry. I am angry for this. I am angry at you for this. And it is just uh, hitting that and seeing the release or feeling the release,
Mhm.
starting with just 1 minute, just
Yeah.
1 minute, and seeing how that goes.
Yeah, because a lot of people are like, well, what does that do? But the subconscious mind doesn't, for the subconscious mind, there's just as much a release by doing these things into a pillow or with a bat than by actually screaming at the other person, which isn't always healthy, right? But this gets that energetic release. It tells your subconscious, I'm not stuck, I'm not holding it in. It's healthy
Right, right. And it's safe.
and it's safe.
And it's safe, right? Because if you're doing it where nobody's around, then there's no concern, there's no worry that somebody's going to walk in,
Hmm.
you know. And it kind of nurtures the having to be in control of the situation. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, so there again, there are tons of exercises in here. And what I love about this book, and again, I respect that this is to move people from just digesting and getting more knowledge and reading and stuff like that. Um, Yet there is also the need to read the book and going through the exercises. So I highly recommend, and what I do with my clients, because I recommend this is the very first book that I give all my clients. It's like, just buy it and, like start reading it, and we will go through the exercises each time.
Hmm.
Some exercises, again, can be more triggering. And if it becomes triggering, stop. Like, just stop. Put the book down. Give yourself a bit of a time limit where saying, you know what, this triggered me. So, why did it trigger you? What did it bring up? What emotion, what past experience did that bring up for you? And just kind of stop and be like, okay. And then give yourself that time limit. Like I will I highly recommend like doing that time limit. Like, okay, fine, I'm going to put this down now. I'm angry or I'm upset or whatever it is bringing up for you, and just being like, I'm gonna put it aside for 48 hours, then come
Mhm.
back to it. Come back to it. Either one, finish the exercise or continue on.
And what is the next things that you do with your clients, right? How do you take the change further?
So thank you for that. So again, like Louise is that grandmother, right? She is that one that is that safe space to that safe nudge to kind of start your journey. Um, and like with her work, again, like I said, I do all of my clients need to buy that book and they will read it and they will go through it. Yet the exercises themselves can be very simple. They can be very simple. And I think what ends up happening is a lot of people will be like, well, this is too simple. And yes, yes, it can be. So it just comes back with the whole, because she will reference back to the affirmations. And it still comes back to, okay, choosing those exercises. And this is something that I will do with the clients. And it's like, which of the exercises are you getting stuck on? Because that will give a great indication on the next layer and the next step that we need to go through. So is it where writing a forgiveness letter? Well, maybe it's not so much a forgiveness letter that you need to write. Maybe it is. Maybe it's actually we need to literally dive into a forgiveness session.
Hmm. Ah, so you use it for when those areas is not enough because, as you said, it's too simple. Then you say, okay, let's take this to a deeper level. Let's go in and really do work in this area.
Right. And even with like the NLP aspect of it, like bringing it back to NLP and just where we started with the affirmations, just if you have that limiting belief, then, with doing these exercises, it will give kind of a baseline of where are the beliefs? Where are the beliefs that we need to check into? Where are the beliefs that we need to release? What are some of the emotions that we need to release? As much as I would love to say that, again, coming back to like reading the book and doing these exercises and you're going to be completely healed, you're not. Again, I feel it is I feel Louise's work is great as a starting point.
It's a great start to really understand this, maybe this link between the disease and our emotions and our story and our beliefs and behaviors, and to start gaining that awareness. Oh, maybe all that stuff that happened, maybe even the stuff that happened right before my symptoms, maybe they have something to do with them rather than symptoms just happen out of the blue.
Right. And a lot of it, and it's a very and it's not about blaming people either. So yeah, so it's a lot about the taking, and in NLP we know this too, where like the taking the responsibility, like being in cause as opposed to being in effect. So yeah, it's I again, I cannot recommend the book enough, obviously. And yeah, it is again, there are a ton of exercises in there, and there's tons of explanations, and it's those little seeds. It's the starting point. It really is your starting point.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you, Candace.
Thank you.
All right, this is Eva Clark of Healing Multiple Sclerosis, and I will see you next time.